Hi there, Josh here, and welcome to a short hobbyist novitiate video. This time we're doing painting Imperialis, where we paint up a Legimp model in the colours of one of the 18 Legions or their solar counterparts. We're aiming for these videos to be beginner friendly, but hopefully we'll introduce a few intermediate techniques along the way. In this video, I'm going to be looking at the 10th Legion, the Iron Hands. Grab a hot drink and a biscuit and let's dig in. So I'm starting off here from a Chaos Black Prime, but you know, any black rattle can will do the job. I really wanted to be focusing on building up lots and lots of texture on this one. I think Iron Hands need to be grimy and grungy, and just thought it'd be really fun to lean into that look. So I'm starting off by stippling Leadbelcher onto the model with a soft round brush. I've got a medium amount of paint on the end of the brush, and I'm just dabbing it, really focusing on building up texture. I'm not aiming to completely cover the model with Leadbelcher. I want to leave some of that black prime showing through, just to give the impression of chips and dings in the surface of the hull. So you can see here already we're building up lots of texture. After that, to help some of the raised edges pop, I've come in with Runefang steel, and I'm just doing a light dry brush along all of the raised edges just to help pick those out. This gives the model a bit more contrast and just helps it stand out more. Once that's gotten to a point that I'm happy with, it's nice and bright and shiny now, so we're going to dull things back down with a thin-ish coat of Ratling Grime, which I'm basically slopping over the entire model except a couple of raised bits like the exhaust and the weapons, because I want those to be a brighter metal than the rest of the tank. I really love Ratling Grime over metallics. It's a very dark black-brown, and being a contrast paint, it settles really nicely in recesses while just tinting the rest of the hull, making it darker and grimier. This is just going over more or less everything. Now that's done, it's dulled the whole model down quite a lot. So I came back in with a little bit more of the Leadbelcher and just stippled this on the high points, the raised edges, any points that I want to stand out even more. Always going with those gentle stipple motions to keep building up more and more layers of texture over the model. I didn't really know what I was going to do to begin with the Iron Hands. I think there's a difficulty with a lot of the black schemes where they all can look quite similar, and I wanted to make sure they all stood out apart from each other. And I think this is a great way of doing it for the Iron Hands. You can see here I've thrown on some decals. I didn't film that because they're quite small and fiddly, but once they've gone on, I've just put a coat of matte varnish over the top of any panel that has a decal on it, just to reduce that shine. Now we're using an oil wash that I've mixed up with some Windsor and Newton Raw Umber. This is thinned down with Sansador, which is very similar to white spirits but just smells less. You can get away with using, any kind of white spirit that you'd like. This first wash I'm basically putting over the entire model. It's quite thin, so it's just going to settle in the recesses and darken down everything. Give it a bit more brown, grime, dirt. You can see this, I'm just slopping over everywhere, more or less. After that, I've taken that same wash I had mixed up and added in some Cadmium Orange Hue to make it a lighter colour than it was, but it's still quite a dark orange wash, and I'm just focusing this on particular spots on the model, adding colour variation, giving it a sort of rusted look. This is going on while the first coat is still a little bit wet, so it helps it sort of blend into that original colour. Now I've mixed up just a pure Cadmium Orange Hue wash. This is with another Windsor Newton oil. And I'm just popping this again in even more little focus spots. It's a much thicker wash now, so it's going to really stand out. The rest of the model is still quite wet from the previous wash, so it's going to sort of blend in there nicely anyway as the two colours mix on the model. This just helps give us even more of that rusted metal look and helps shift some of the colours from browns into oranges and give the model a little bit more visual interest. I'm not picking spots very carefully with this, just making sure that each surface has a couple of patches of orange around. Although it looks quite vibrant now, once it's all dry, the final effect is very subtle, so you don't need to worry too much about blending it in. Just tidying up there a few spots where I might have gone a little too far. The great thing about oil colours is they have a very long working time, and you can go back in with just some mineral spirits on your brush to feather them out or even erase bits. After that, I'm finally getting to use the track rust that I really wanted to use in our 48-hour painting challenge. I've got this back on my soft round brush and I'm just basically dabbing it dry onto the model. The model's still wet, so it's going to soak up some of that mineral spirit, which will help it adhere to the model. I was quite careful and reserved to begin with, but as you can see by the amount of dust I'm getting on my hands and the work surface as I go on, I get more and more vigorous with the application. This gives just loads of lovely texture to the model, and I'm really, really happy with the final look that it gave. There were a few patches where it's a little bit too heavy, so I just came back around at the end and used the brush again to shift the pigment powder around a little bit. It's again a very forgiving medium. Once it dries, some of this powder might end up coming off, but I think most of it has stayed on the model. After a little bit of handling, no more seems to be coming off. And yeah, here's the final result. I'm really pleased with how this one looks. It's just so grimy and grungy and dirty. I really love weathering models. For me, kind of the more weathering the better. I think I really achieved that texture that I wanted here. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks a lot for sticking with this one. We'll have lots more of these coming for you soon. I know Matt started working on some of the Traitor Legions, so hopefully those will be coming out in the coming months. See you next time.